Welcome back, everyone. My name is Franco Aurelio Fernandez, and I'm here with Father Ambrose from St. Michael's Abbey. Father, may you please give us a quick introduction?
Sure. Thanks, Franco. It's nice to meet you, and nice to meet you here at the live action event. I'm Father Ambrose Criste, and I'm a canon regular, Norbertine canon regular, as Franco said, from St. Michael's Abbey in Southern California. Although I live currently in a smaller priory that we're starting in Springfield, Illinois. So I've been in the Abbey since the year 2000. I've been a priest for about 15 years, and happy to engage in a conversation with you today, Franco.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So first off, I really want to ask what got you into the priesthood? Well, first off, before that, what got you to Catholicism, or were you raised Catholic?
I was raised Catholic, a pious Catholic family, grew up in Denver, Colorado, and went to Catholic school, went to a Jesuit boys' school for high school. So my family was very Catholic, and that was sort of the soup that I was swimming in as a child.
Cool. And what got you to become a priest?
Well, it's not unusual for young men in Catholic families in that world to think about the priesthood. You know, it's suggested often to little boys. Have you ever thought about being a priest? Things like that. So I had those suggestions, of course, and I ran away from those suggestions pretty quickly through my young adulthood. So when I got to college and university and thinking more seriously about what I want to do with my life, then it became more of a real possibility, although I wasn't too excited about that. So I ran away for a long time, Franco. I was in graduate school and in England, and finally stopped running when I realized that the Lord really was calling me and that it was time for me to do something about that. So I entered the monastery and started pursuing religious life in the priesthood when I was 25.
Wow, that's great. That's cool. That's cool. And have you ever had doubts about the celibacy aspect or any of these things? Because I'm assuming a lot of people might be well, once you commit, you pretty much have to commit for life. So have you ever had doubts?
Well, it's a long engagement, religious life. So it's not quite there's a long period of formation, years of formation. So in our case, as men who live in a monastery, we join the monastery, the Abbey, and we live for 2 years without any vows. We're called novices, and we're learning what the religious life looks like, testing the waters, as it were. Then we make a simple, temporary profession of the religious vows, poverty, chastity, and obedience. Try that out for 3 years and then renew that. So it doesn't become permanent until several years later. So there's an ample opportunity to come and see and try. And many men and women who join religious life too, but many men try it out and then leave and go get married or do something else. So it's a kind of an engagement phase for several years.
Yeah.
But then of course, that's daunting, like any lifelong vocation, getting married or being ordained a priest or making a solemn religious profession. It's going to be lifelong commitment. Yeah. It takes some real discernment.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel like for a lot of people nowadays, that can be very intimidating because of the whole you can't once you commit, you're there.
Yeah, I would say yes and no. I mean, the thing is, you can't live life really freely until you actually take the responsibility of committing to something. You can't date forever. You need to marry one woman. Mm-hmm. I can't try every kind of religious life. I have to pick one and commit to it. And then your heart is set free so that you can actually live that life.
Yes.
So commitment is the gateway to freedom and responsibility and real deep, a well-lived life, not the contrary.
Yes, 100%. So with dating, it's funny you mention that. So I've been very curious into. So I've been pretty I've been discerning as well, and I think that I'm probably lean towards marriage as of now. I've been having meetings with a spiritual counselor about that, and the last time we met about this sort of topic, I was okay, I think I'm pretty much set. But I want to know what you think about what do you think could be, because I've heard that there have to be things that you might want to look for in a wife to have a good marriage, right? Not obviously, Catholic, pious, obviously stuff like that. But there are I've heard that you want to have things that you definitely want to look for, maybe appearance-wise or personality-wise, stuff like that. So I just want to know, what do you think might be too picky when looking for a wife?
Well, I would say that we have to have a worldview and a view of dating and courtship that is very different from the one that the world offers on social media and in everything you see in Netflix and film and everything else, where it's not just about appearance. That's one important aspect, to be attracted to the person that you're going to fall in love with and marry, right? Yeah. But that's only one aspect. So looks aren't the most important thing fundamentally. And for young people especially, you often need help with that. Friends around you are what, she's not for you. Or or your parents maybe, or your family. You know, it used to be, it's funny, I have a confrere who we joke around about arranged marriages. You know, and how actually there's something kind of, you know, like way back when the older generation would pick the young people and put them together. And my this one confrere of mine at the Abbey, he says, would you rather have that happen, or would you have your marriage arranged by the idiot 22-year-old kid who picked that wife? That is you. You picked your wife, and you find yourself at the age of 50 or 60 living your life married to the woman that an idiot 22-year-old kid picked, right, instead of the woman that a wise 60-year-old adult picked. So that's a hot take, right? So not that we're going to go back to arranged marriages, right. But why not ask the 60-year-olds in your family, what do you think of this woman? Do you think that we're a good match?
Right.
Like, get advice about that.
Yes.
It's not just up to you.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be just up to you.
Oh, 100%. I've always thought, like, you know, with arranged marriages, I mean, so when I was with an ex-girlfriend of mine, I had like this very huge panic moment when I was like, oh my gosh, like, she's great, she's awesome or whatever. This was before I was like Protestant Catholic, but I was like, oh my gosh, she's great. Everything like is great about her, but she's like sweet, all this stuff, right? Is the only thing that's wrong in this relationship that I might have to break up with her because I don't love her? And because back then I thought love was a feeling. Mm-hmm. And when people would tell me like, oh, this is how I felt about this girl, whatever, and like I would get butterflies, and I was like, I don't feel any of that. I don't think I've ever felt any of that. So like, do I just like not love her? Because I was under the misconception of love being strictly a feeling. And so I pretty much panicked. And when I realized, you know, through informing myself more, like, you know, other takes on like experiences of what love means and whatever. And eventually now as a Catholic, I understand, you know, love is an action to will the good of the other, right? And that can take form in different ways, you know, according if you're married or, you know, to a friend or whatever. But back then, right, I got like a lot more assurance. I'm like, okay, it's more of an action, so you're in control of this. Okay, good. And that's when I was like that's when I thought about arranged marriage. I'm like, I mean, I can't really like be totally against them. And like, I mean, I guess like the non-consensual part, yes, 100%. You know, we can definitely be against arranged marriages if like the spouse doesn't consent, 100%. But the whole thing of, you know, you're getting with this spouse that you might not know too well or whatever, but you're like working to have a good marriage.
Yes, and if you have that common goal, basically, like if you understand that the person whom you're marrying and you have the same worldview, goals for raising children, for being faithful people as Catholics in your case, and so forth, then the rest of it can kind of come on board. Because as you said, love is a choice, it's an act of the will. You know, it's that you don't necessarily have to have those butterflies. That helps. I mean, that's part of human life too. But that's going to go away, I promise. Yeah. That part's going to go away at some point in the relationship.
I've never felt it, to be honest, personally. I know some guys I just felt like I was like,
she's out there, Franco, the one who's going to give you all of those wonderful butterflies.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. Like, cause the thing is, like, my mom was like, because when I told my mother about this and my father, I don't know if I told my father, but my mother was like, well, I mean, you're kind of like a more down-to-earth guy. I mean, like, you know, the guys that you were mentioning, and no offense, I won't say their names, of course, but like, you know, she was like, the guys you were mentioning, they were kind of more, you know, they're a little more emotional stuff. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, well, maybe you're right. Maybe there is. I'm like, I'll be like, wow.
There is I know this older couple, they have, obviously I'm not going to mention any names either, but both of them were able to marry again after either an annulment in one case, or I think maybe a death of a spouse in the other case. In any case, these two people found each other, wanted to be married as Catholics, faithful Catholics, later in life. And I've gotten to know them, you know, enough that they were able to share with me that they knew that they were supposed to be married to each other. They chose that, and they had to fall in love kind of deliberately. Mm-hmm. They sort of chose to fall in love deliberately. It wasn't like the way that young people go about that relationship, you know? There's just that wisdom, and they're like, okay, look, we're meant for each other. We're going to do this. We're going to commit to this. And the romantic part of it had to come along later. Yeah. You know? So, I mean, there's something kind of beautiful about that.
That's kind of where I learned like the difference between infatuation and like love itself. Because I would say, you know, infatuation being like a passion, and I'm trying to like remember the definition, so like please fact check me if I'm getting the definition incorrectly here, but from what I remember infatuation to be is like this this feeling of like passion that, you know, like kind of arduous and stuff like that, like, you know, for romance, that is not really in your control. It can like come as quickly as it goes away. And I think that's what, that feeling is what most people like claim and like label as love.
Yeah, they think that that's love. That's right. Because it's very strong. and it sweeps us off our feet.
Yeah.
And that is going to have to mature into something that's more robust, long-lasting, mature.
Like, it can be like a motivator to love, but I wouldn't say, like, personally for me, like, I don't think I would classify that as strictly love.
No, because the thing is, what's going to happen when that goes away, as it will? You know, are you still in it for the long haul? That's the question. Is, are you committed for some other reason beside that particular fleeting passion?
Yes, 100%, 100%. And yeah, I think that there's that's the whole definition on love is like, so I think it's so important nowadays, because I think that it's very, it just gets, the word gets thrown around so like casually. It's just, you know, like what I think I saw Christopher West talking about this. He was like, you know, if you say you love my wife, like I love my wife, or if you say I love Doritos, it's like, I'm hoping there's like a clear difference here, like, you know, between like Doritos and your wife. So I think that's definitely something that should have a distinction. But back to the question on the pickiness, like, do you think that there is, and I definitely agree with you on like the looks thing, but do you think that there is like a way for us to know, like, if certain traits of a partner, whether they're physical or whether they're personal, like personality wise, do you think there's like a way to know if we're being too picky about it?
Yeah, I think that's where this old fashioned language of courtship, you know, in the Catholic world, the traditional Catholic world especially, where, you know, instead of jumping into bed together right away, and instead of moving in together, certainly. So trying to eliminate at least the beginning of the relationship, removing from that the physical intimacy that's going to cloud your judgment about all of that. That's part of the reason why that's wise. So, because physical intimacy makes people think that there's a closer bond than maybe there really is, if that physical intimacy doesn't come until after the wedding day, that is on the wedding night. Without that component of fornicating or just sexual intimacy in a dating relationship, that can clarify both people in the relationship, so that they can say, well, what is it about that person that I'm growing to love? And then, and yet you should be picky. Absolutely. This is a lifelong commitment. It's important.
Yeah.
And you're going to need help. Am I being too picky? That's where the other people, and hopefully older and wiser, come into the picture too. That said, because this is a vow, it's a commitment, you can also make a marriage work even if it's not perfect in every way. There is no perfect spouse.
Right.
There is no perfect marriage.
Right.
There is, in my case, there's no perfect religious community. There's no perfect diocese to join. You know, we're just doing the best we can in an imperfect world. So, but if you're deliberate about the commitment and that you're going to be in it for the long haul, in it to win it, you'll be able to work out whatever problems come up.
Gotcha.
So yeah, especially, and as people are marrying later, sadly, they're marrying, they start to get a little bit desperate, especially women who are, past the age of, the window of opportunity to bear children, to conceive and bear children as a mother starts to close. Like, what am I going to do? And then they're just sort of, those standards of the physical beauty of a potential husband and all of this, they start to lower and they start to be much more realistic, right?
Yeah.
Like what is primary? What are my primary concerns here?
Right.
So, but some of that can be even for younger people who are discerning marriage and discerning a person to court and to marry. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to reduce my list of things. I saw somebody saying make a list of things that you would want to look for in a wife, and yeah, I definitely do agree. There is definitely never a perfect.
Yeah, but you could definitely prioritize that for sure. In the context of Catholic married life, marry Catholic.
Yeah.
Or someone who's at least going to come on board quickly.
Yeah.
Be clear about what you intend for the way that you're going to have children and raise children. Super important.
Yes.
Be clear about where you want to live and how the extended family fits into that.
Do you think it's in a Catholic's best interest to marry a non-Catholic, or would the best option be to marry another Catholic?
The best option is to marry another Catholic. People, that piece is so important for the way you're going to raise your children and the way you understand each other and the purpose of marriage and everybody's goal, each spouse's goal toward the sanctification of their spouse. All of that is so important. Marry a Catholic. Now, that's not to say that you can't have a successful marriage by marrying a non-Catholic, but it's a great risk. It's a very big risk.
Right.
And I would just say, don't don't fall into the illusion that that's not important. It's very important.
And of course, by Catholic, you mean like a devout one.
Of course. I mean, that's, Is there any other kind, Franco?
Because some people might be like, well, I know a lot of Catholics in my area, but they're like, they don't.
Yeah, they go to mass on Christmas and Easter, if that.
Yeah. They're like cafeteria Catholics. I mean, some people might call them, but yeah, no, 100%. That's just want to clear that up. That's what Father Ambrose is talking about. The the devout ones, not the ones that show up to mass.
The OG Catholics.
The what?
The OG Catholics.
Yes, the OG Catholics. Such a good modern slang for that. Do you know what OG originally means?
Yes.
Okay. All right. But we don't mean it in the literal sense, I'm assuming. Okay, cool. So yeah, with that, because the reason I'm asking this, because I had a follower of mine who like inquired me about this, and I was essentially pretty much saying like, no, like definitely prioritize marrying a Catholic, but this person was putting up like good arguments on the thing of like, okay, well the Catholics that I know in my area are not really, they're not practicing, right? They don't like seem like they have a good relationship with God, but. And I know this Protestant guy who's like, he seems like he has a very good, deep relationship with God and all this stuff, right? He's very devout. But I was pretty much saying like, yeah, like that's fine. But you're not like, if you have a great relationship with God, you'll be fully involved in the Catholic Church.
That's right. And I would say that there could be some potential with, if you're dating, or if you're courting or dating a Catholic who might not be so on board, sort of a nominal Catholic. Yeah. Check and see if they're willing to come closer to the full expression of the faith. See if there's room for growth there, where they're interested in learning more, in being more devout, in following your good example, whoever you are, in leading them into a deeper life of prayer and so forth. That seems to me to be a more plausible way to go about it than a very strong, convicted, let's say, evangelical Christian or a strongly convicted Protestant Christian who might be very convinced of the principles of the theological principles of Calvinism or Lutheranism or something. Yeah. That's going to be a hard thing to overcome, even though there's devoutness in that, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with your kids? You're going to baptize them Catholic? You have to if you're going to get married in the Catholic Church. Are you going to raise them with Catholic belief or with Calvinist belief? So it seems like the lukewarm Catholic, don't marry a lukewarm Catholic, but maybe the lukewarm Catholic can be drawn into being a devout Catholic.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, 100% actually, because I think that when I've talked to lukewarm Catholics in my experience, usually if I appeal to like, look, this is like what the church teaches, is like how our tradition is, this is why the church teaches what it is, usually I feel like it's like a little bit of an easier time with them.
Because they're convinced by the beauty of that and the truth of that. Yeah. Most lukewarm Catholics simply don't know. Yeah. They just don't know like what the church really has to offer. They've never seen it, or they've never heard it, or they've never experienced it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why they need to spend time in places like St. Michael's Abbey.
It's so true. 100%. Go, make sure to go to St. Michael's Abbey,
or jump on the Abbot Circle, our virtual monastery. So check that out too. I can do all the commercials, right?
Yeah. No. Oh, please plug all as much as you want.
Check the Abbot Circle, where you can get all kinds of preaching and contents and all the beautiful videos that we produce and so forth. Like check all that out. Novenas. Check out the Evermode Institute. This is a new platform that we're building. Go on discoverevermode.com, that's like catechetical instruction, like what are the contents of the faith. Yeah. So all kinds of great stuff.
I want to ask you a little bit of a hot question. Do you think that a Catholic should be surrounded by mainly Catholic friends or non-Catholic friends?
That's a hard question. I think circumstances in life, let's say at work or at school or a circle of friends, that can admit of all kinds of different people. I think that it's a great opportunity for evangelization, that you can bring non-Catholic friends on board so that they become Catholic friends. That's the whole point. That's the goal. Yeah. We want everybody on the face of the earth to be a Catholic Christian and find the fullness of truth, right? Yes. That's what we want. There's a great richness in knowing other kinds of people too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. As long as you're convicted enough in your faith that you're not going to be led away. What kind of friends are these? Are these worldly people who are deep in lives of sin who might lead you astray? Well, then no, you shouldn't have those kind of people in your life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe I should clarify. Do you think that Catholics do you think a Catholic, with the 5 people they spend the most time with, like not just like friends in general, like but like the 5 people that they spend the most time with, do you think those out of those 5 people, the majority of them should probably be Catholic?
I would say yes, only, although that's not like a hard and fast rule.
Yeah.
But what is it about? Friendship is something where people share things they love in common, and they love each other in loving the things that they love in common. If we have the fullness of our faith, which we share in common in friendship, that makes the friendship so much the richer, right? Because we're both 2 friends or 5 friends or 8 friends or whatever, 5 in your case, you said like basically your intimate circle of friends.
Yeah.
If you're all able to look at the world through the Catholic worldview, through that lens, which is the most true and the most beautiful, the friendship is so much the richer. Right?
Yes. Very true, very true.
So I think it's integral into what friendship is, that the things we have in common, we really do have in common. And that's why we love each other in those things we have in common. So again, you can love in common our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, with a Lutheran or with a Calvinist or with an evangelical Christian, obviously. But you understand Jesus better through the fullness of the truth, which is the Catholic Church, and you know who Jesus is more clearly together if both friends are Catholic. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%. I would honestly say like you can definitely love Jesus or try to love Jesus through a Calvinist lens or through any other Protestant lens.
These are real Christians, yes, and 100%. They love our Lord, and our Lord loves them.
But but at the same time, I would also say the way that our Lord wants to be loved is through his Catholic Church.
It's the church he instituted.
Exactly.
He wants us to be able to have direct access to him through the sacraments of that church. It's where we touch the humanity of Christ directly.
Yes.
It's through the sacraments of the church he instituted.
Yes. That's why I always talk about, I know that a lot of Protestants might have I don't know if you've noticed, but you probably have. There's a lot of language that Protestants might use towards Catholics. Oh, you guys don't have an actual relationship with Christ, or you guys don't prioritize that, the relationship. So I always say Catholics might kind of push back on that, but to say no, well, our religion is fine or whatever. And by definition, yeah, religion means to worship God. So that is a relationship in essence, I would say.
Yes, that's right.
So I always like to flip it on them and pretty much be well, my relationship with God is not only mental, it's also physical.
Exactly. It's not just, I know in my heart and love my Lord as a personal friend, intimate companion, Savior, the lover of my soul, all of these things, but it's not just an idea. I actually eat his body and drink his blood.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I hear his voice forgiving my sins in the confessional when the priest says those words, I absolve you.
Yes, 100%.
It's not just an idea.
Yes, 100%.
It's physical, audible, visible, tangible reality.
It's incarnate.
It's incarnate. Absolutely.
Yes.
My Lord is an incarnate Lord.
Of course, 100%. Yeah, that's why I love the Catholic Church. So I'm under the impression, and I think it's pretty correct to say that when you remove the papacy from Christianity essentially becomes a liberal religion, like a bunch of other religions. And reason being, this is the way, a way that I could put it right now, that when you don't have an ultimate authority to assent to, a living teacher that can clarify things through time and stuff like that, especially when modern technologies can introduce new sin and stuff like that, or new ways of sinning and kind of a specific way of committing breaking the 5th commandment or whatever. I think that without that teaching office to assent to, you essentially have everybody become their own teaching office on what God is trying to communicate. And that pretty much leaves us into a whole, everybody being the authority. And some could say everyone being their own pope in a way.
Yes, absolutely. So and the word you use there, liberal, that's in the classic sense, in the philosophical sense about these periods of philosophical history and Western thought. That liberal movement, which is what we call modernity, so I'm talking about the 16th century, the roots of that reach back into even earlier than that, William of Ockham and nominalism, sort of the late Middle Ages, when the philosophical errors that were creeping into Western culture resulted in those ideas which became the Protestant Revolution, where the rejection of a teaching authority in the papacy, for example, and the turn toward every person, Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. The idea that I am my own God, I am my own authority, and the world only makes sense if I understand it through my own lens, that I'm the one who is the ultimate arbiter of what is true and good and beautiful and so forth. you're right about that. All of those things go together. The rejection of the papacy is not just a theological issue, but it's especially a philosophical issue, as you were sort of indicating there in the way you asked the question. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so Christ established a church with St. Peter at the head of the Apostolic College because we need some kind of authority that helps us understand, first of all, what do the scriptures mean? It's not like every Christian can just pick up that book, that collection of books, and know what they mean. Right. We need help with that. We have a whole weight of tradition, the fathers of the church, and a magisterium, a teaching authority of a church, with the Pope St. Peter and his successors as the ultimate authority in that, to bring all of those bishops together so that we can be guaranteed that we will continue to get it right and that the doctrine won't be watered down or lost or forgotten when something like new technologies introduce new ideas. What are we supposed to make sense? How do we make sense of this? Yeah. We need a magisterium. Christ knew that we would need a magisterium, so he gave us one in his mercy and his goodness. That's the church he established. Yes. So departing from that means that we start to have then however many millions of popes. Mm-hmm. Every Christian becomes his or her own authority.
Mm-hmm. Their own infallible interpreter.
Yes, that at its worst.
They might not claim that. I'm pretty sure they probably might not claim that.
But that's what it would degenerate into. That's where the logic ends. Yeah. And it's funny that even non-Christian thinkers understood that. Carl Jung famously pointed that out in his reflection on modernity in the 20th century, right? Yeah. That he saw that there's something about the way that the human mind and heart and person works that Protestantism shows us this ultimate elevation of the individual as a supreme authority in the universe. Mm. I become God. Mm. Versus he had a great admiration for Catholicism because of the fact that the authority is something that is an institutional establishment given to us by God, mm-hmm. so that we can be confident that I don't have to become God. God is God, and he gives us through his church a vehicle hierarchy which helps us to be guaranteed of knowing the truth and being able to pursue it and love it. Right. And become saints.
100%, yeah. Because I think that when now some Protestants definitely probably will be like, well, hold on, I'm not trying to claim to be God. But like you said, the logical conclusion does kind of, at the very least, flirt the line with that. Because when the moment you reject the authority that was able to produce divine revelation and stuff like that, or at least to authoritatively decide what is divine revelation, like the Bible. It's because Jesus didn't leave us with the Bible, he left us with a Catholic church. And that church had a hierarchy, of course. I 100% agree that yes, if you're a baptized Christian, from the faith, yes, you're part of the body of Christ in some way or another, but you still have to assent to the authority, the hierarchy in that body of Christ, in that church.
Yes. And there's so much good apologetic literature on this, and hop on Catholic Answers website or look at any of the videos. There's a number of videos that in our own body, that the Norbertines body of videos about this question, mm-hmm. about tradition and revelation and scripture and tradition and authority in the magisterium and so forth. All of these things, we're not reinventing the wheel in this conversation. Yes. There are answers to all of this. Yes. And so there's a lot to be said there.
Thank you so much, Father Ambrose. I really appreciate the great conversation. I'll definitely be putting shorts of that. Oh, first I'll run it by your guy.
Nice to visit with you, Franco. God bless you. Peace.
Appreciate it, Father Ambrose. Please check out St. Michael's Abbey. It's an absolutely amazing place. I'm probably going to go visit it today.
Yes, either go in person if you're in Southern California, and if you're not in Southern California, get online. We have a very rich online presence. stmichaelsabbey.com, theabbotcircle.com, discoverevermode.com. So check out our YouTube, check out our Instagram, and find us online. Peace. God bless you.
Take care. Have a good one. Stay holy. Bye-bye.